Hey everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic time. This is a statue I worked on back in my hometown in Orono, Maine. The frost had gotten inside his head and split it open, and they couldn't find anybody to fix it, so one of my friends up there said, "Call Gary, he can probably fix it." So I went up and looked it over, and what I had to do was break his head apart, as you can see here, and start grinding it to get it back together, because this is zinc and it's similar to like a cast iron. It has a lot of fingers and things on it when it breaks apart, and it was actually stretched out of shape in a lot of areas before it actually cracked and broke. So I had to break it to put it back together, and as this goes along you'll see me putting the pieces back together. And I used this blue tape to hold his head in place, and then as I was putting on, this is JB Weld, and I was using the blue tape to hold a lot of the JB Weld in place. Like on his lip I'd use a lot, his visor and his hat is split right in half, so I just used it to hold it in place, and then after I used chisels, files, and sandpaper to start molding it and shaping it the way I needed to, and I'm pretty happy with the way he came out. Long story short, they've run out of money. I wish I could have volunteered to do this since it's my hometown, but I have to go up like a week at a time, so being up there for a week costs a lot of money, so they're kind of flipping the bill on that. But I've had a blast doing the project, and in a minute you'll see exactly what happened. The top of his hat popped off, and that's what filled the top of his head full of snow and ice and rain. So here I cut out a template and got it to fit exactly the way I wanted it. Took it to one of my friends, and they cut this out of an old aluminum sign. And one of the issues you have is the statue is zinc, and the top of his hat now is aluminum. So I get everything set here, pre-drilled my holes, and what I wanted to do was make it look like the rivets that they used to put on their boots and their hats. So that's what I did, and you can see I put JB Weld all around the top of that and sandwiched it so that there's something between. It's also watertight, but there's something between the top of his hat and the metal, so they're not touching. I did the same thing with the screws. Now, one of the interesting things is somebody had vandalized this, and the rifle was missing. So I took this road trip all over the state of Maine looking for other statues that were similar, and this was the closest that I could find with a rifle that would work. So I just photographed this rifle and went and bought some wood. I used pine. Drew the rifle on. I cut the board so it looks like it fits well on the statue. I left the butt 3 inches longer and the barrel about 4 inches longer. So when I get ready to cut this and glue it into place, it'll fit properly. And I can go up or down with it any way I want to, because both ends are too long. This is where I'm just starting to carve it. Here I'm actually up in Maine at Da Vinci Signs. It's a company I used to own, and we're putting epoxy on this to help seal the wood against the elements. And now I'm taking it up and putting it up against the statue again, because I keep checking as often as I can, because I'm in Rhode Island and they're in Maine, so every chance I get I go check it out. This is the base, the original base. The statue is about 100 years old, but you can see how his face came out. And I thought I had video of the back of his head. I'm going to have to get that, because his hair came out fantastic in the back of his hat. So I hope you enjoy this. If you ever find yourself needing to do a statue and you're not quite sure what to do, send me a video or email me right here at Duck Cove Signs. Hi everyone, I thought I'd share this little story with you. It's about a man named Harold, and he thought that his wife was getting hard of hearing. So one night after supper, he wanted to prove his point. He left the living room where they were watching TV, and he went out into the kitchen, and he went around to the back side of the living room. There was another doorway there, and he just stepped in by the door frame. And he said, "Margaret, can you hear me?" Nothing. So he stepped a little closer. "Margaret, can you hear me?" Nothing. He goes, "Wow, this is worse than I thought it was." So he gets right up behind her and he goes, "Margaret, can you hear me?" And the answer back was, "Good Lord, Harold, yes, for the third time, I can hear you." Sometimes life is a little different than we think it is. But it's always good to stay on top of things. And I hope this gave you a little chuckle and you can tell your clients or your friends this simple little joke. So have a fantastic day, and I will see you on the next episode of Duck Cove Signs.